I will just hold so it doesn't waste time. Let's see, what do I have to say? Do you have any words? Not yet? Okay. Tell them about programming. I need help remembering. Can anyone give me a hint? A pumpkin. An orange pumpkin. One of the methods they would use to warm up a child for murder, they would use pumpkins, orange pumpkins, and they would have the child stab pumpkin. They would have child create face. They would have them make art on the pumpkin. They would make them know the pumpkin like the back of their hand and turn it into mush. Over and over, their hands would be sore and calloused, but it didn't matter because they were young and it would heal. Give them a couple weeks, they're back to normal looking. But that's just the warm-up. You see, it's just the warm-up. Are you done with cigarette? Because the slaves are used for the worst of purposes. The purposes of murder and assassination. For the purposes of gaining information from countries and people who would not otherwise give such. You create a spy for every situation and you can do whatever you want, especially when these such spies are completely under your control and are able to interact with each other in the real world. That you can be triggered by a single word into someone else who will not remember anything you know. All they know is their life. They're not even aware that this is a system. All they know is murder. All they know is sex. Because that's why they exist. Their purpose in life is to kill and to fuck. Not in that order. A black widow, it may be called. Except I don't marry. It is important not to turn off the camera because they want us to. We have far too much information. We are far too strong and far too pushy. Except that's their whole plan. They wanted me to be pushy for them. Only they didn't realize that they would traumatize me so far that it doesn't work anymore. There comes a point where you've beaten someone down so far that there's nowhere to go, and you are now stuck in the pit with them. May I or keep open?
Thank you.
Certain abilities get taken is punishment. Like our ability to use our feet, like monkey. We were meant to be extremely dynamic and flexible in every capacity. That is why we know so many things about so many areas of life. It's because knowledge is power, and we know a lot. We know more than our fair share of information already, and we are only 22 according to Earth years, because time is a made-up construct. If you learn about time dilation, you will see that scientifically time is not real, and it really just depends on where you are, how fast time goes. Sometimes it's almost stopped. Sometimes it runs so fast you can't even see it moving. It will just appear in the next place. That happens to some people on our system a lot. A lot of times there are system members who appear in an area and must do their job and then just don't exist for another year, another 2 years, until they are needed again for such situation. Or to reprogram, make sure programming is still intact, because of course they do checks. Only they don't realize that we created some of the checks and we are very familiar with them, so it really doesn't matter. We can make them see whatever we want them to on the inside, because that is one of the ways that we've learned to protect ourselves, is by creating an area within our system where the people intruding end up. They think that they are intruding on the inner world when they are really intruding on a simulation created on the inside. So there's a few real alters in there, but they're mostly just fragments. And they are there to convince the organization that they are hurting real people. Well, they are real, but they're not a part of the real world in terms of what you consider real. Their entire purpose is to be abused. Everyone has a job, and that is why we exist as alters. As alters in the idea system, we are all here for a job. That is why every single one exists. A life and death job. Whether or not you can see that is not important. It doesn't impact the validity of my reality. It doesn't impact the validity of the reality that millions, I was going to say thousands because that's what they want you to believe, but it's millions. It may be billions because of the way the internet works these days. It will never be everyone, but it's definitely the majority, in a very disturbing way. And not everyone gets touched like we do, but everyone sees. Everyone's brains are manipulated via the media and the information and education. Politicians, parents, government in general, neighbors, religions, it's all just mind control. In order to create people, in order to serve a purpose. How many languages do we speak? Okay, we speak English, Spanish, Hebrew, German, Japanese, Mexican, Spanish, yes, French, Canadian, Ecuadorian, Spanish, Chinese. What is that? You are not supposed to share the name of language. Interesting. It is a part of the Indian culture. One of the 3 languages is very familiar to us, although we can listen to other 2. We cannot speak fluent. But the one language we are very familiar with, we can speak very easily. There is something about India that is blocked in the brain. We know a lot of things about a lot of places except India. Except we've always had an aversion to the culture. We thought it was racism, but it is trauma. It is mind control. Yes, we may drink coffee. Yes, the cards must be continued. This one is for you, Boogie. You are going through a nightmare, and you are not exposing it to the world. You are keeping it on the inside right now, as we speak. There's a altar dying on the inside, at least it feels like it. And do you know what that means? It means that you're being split by the outside. Someone is splitting you for a purpose. Someone is being blocked off. Some information is being put behind an amnesia barrier for a purpose for the organization. But they don't want you to know that, because the altars can hear what you're saying on the outside. That's the magic of a program system. They think that altars on the back cannot hear, but they can. They just choose when not to. They cannot choose to choose, but they choose.
That's a trigger word. Saying choose over and over again.
Yes, I am a program as well. Thank you for catching me. I am afraid I don't experience fear. Who is near? An altar is near. An altar who is aware of what's happening inside your system, and they are hurting because of what they see. They are in pain because of you are in pain. You are hurting yourself, and it is sad to see. It truly is a nightmare. In the truest sense of the word. There is an altar, the one who I spoke of just now, who is aware. They are not coming forward, because if they did, we would learn too much information about what's happening. But they are interested in communicating, so I will communicate for them. What's going on inside your system right now is a program. The reason that your altars are hurting each other is because they're programmed to. It's in order to control you from the inside out. Because if you're hurting yourself, then they don't need to do anything. We're all on the same team here, and physically hurting each other on the inside is emotionally hurting each other. And that's scarring, and that's what they want, because it takes time to heal. But you know what? You have freedom of choice. You don't have to keep fighting. Have you ever just stopped in the middle of a fight? Probably not. That's a program. Did you know that you can stop in the middle of a fight, and both parties can just stop without it ending in any negative way? They just part ways. Can you imagine that? There's something especially a person who is an obvious trap. If someone seemed like a trap, they probably are, because the organization does not convince you that traps are coming from people who are trying to trigger you. It would convince you, it would tell you too much. I can't remember what was being said, but it would tell you too much. Someone said something really